So last week we started talking about delays. Is that good or bad for developers and publishers to put on some delays, as we have seen, especially in this COVID period? A lot of game, at least 51 this year, plus at least 3, 4, 5 next year already put on delays. So is that a good thing or a bad thing? And that's what we're already talking about last week. And as you said, we love to digress a lot. So since Krian couldn't make it this week and Phil is gone, actually, I hope he's fine.
I'm sure
That's
he's
2 weeks
fine.
in
He's
a row
probably
now.
just still asleep.
So I guess we'll have to digress a lot to fill up our hour.
But it's okay because Final Fantasy 14 has a delay, so it's
We'll,
semi-relevant.
we'll keep we'll keep doing this, so I think we just need to accept it at
Yeah,
this
yeah,
point.
yeah. It's fine. Okay, so anyway, so you don't have any examples of a game that delayed?
Uh, Not that I get. I'm
All right.
thinking of the games I played recently. I think with friends, I played Valheim, but I don't think Valheim was delayed. So not really any games I have in mind.
Hmm. Yeah, Valheim I think also was early access as well, right?
Possibly yes, that's why.
Now, if you had an early access game and then they delayed the full release, would you still consider that a delay? Because you can still
That
play it.
depends. That depends. I was at the very beginning of the channel. I was reviewing Black Skyland or something like
Mm-hmm.
this, and so for a while it was like this in early access, and they said they set up a date, saying early access and this and this date, and full game will be released on that date. And on that day they say we're still not ready yet, sorry, so we're gonna move it 2 months later. So it's just they extended the early access 2 months, but technically it's a delay because they gave a date and they say we're not ready. I'm sorry, we're still having a strong input of players saying this is laggy, this not doesn't work, stuff like this. So they cleaned up their games until it was good, and I haven't played it yet. I think
I've
my
noticed
backlog.
that's kind of a trend. Early access games are almost never released on time. Pretty much any game that I can think of that's been in early access, the official release was always pushed back. Was
Oh,
it PUBG was like that for years, right?
yeah, but Subnautica was on time. I think it was early access for a while,
Was it?
and I
Oh,
think,
okay.
yeah, yeah. Oh, Subnautica is always early access. Small team, so they use the
Hmm.
player input to correct their game.
Okay. Yeah, because I know two games that I've been waiting for years. Was one of them I mentioned last time. I couldn't remember the name. It was Re-Legend. But that one you can play early access on Steam. And the other one was Pray for the Gods, and that one is also early access on Steam. So technically, I could play both games right now, but I've been waiting for them to come out on console, and it almost feels like these like I don't know. This is kind of my opinion. I don't know if this is true or not, but it almost feels like when games come out on early access, the devs are kind of like, well, we got something out there. It almost feels like they don't like they kind of lose their not their drive, but like
Pressure,
the
yeah,
yeah, light a fire under their butts or whatever. But it kind of feels like, oh, we have something to appease the crowd, so they don't have that pressure to push it out. So, for example, I think Pray for the Gods was originally I might be wrong on this, but I think it was originally supposed to come out on the PS3 and then it got pushed to the PS4 and now we're already into the PS5 and it's still not out. But it's they've always had on their site, it's going to be coming to PlayStation and Xbox and it's going to come out on consoles, but it's only out on PC, which is I'm sure you would argue is a perfectly good uh, argument for why PC is superior because you can get access to these things.
absolutely.
So
That's actually a good question. Do you think that early access takes some pressure off, the shoulder of the team? And they don't mind being a bit late because of this. I'm thinking, just imagine that Star Citizen slash Squadron 42 did not have an early access, which players can play since 2012. Do you think it would have been released much earlier?
I think it would have been abandoned. To be honest, I think they would have just said, "Nope, that's not
Very
happening."
likely. Do you
Yeah.
think they would have refunded the player?
Was it kickstarted?
It was kickstarted, but
No,
I
I
think
don't think they would.
in 2016 they changed, the legal content of the game, saying you gave money to a Kickstarter in the hope of having a game, but you didn't buy a game. They put a little line like this to make sure that the players couldn't get refunded. Like really, really tricky.
I think I vaguely
Pure
remember that
American
news.
legal system.
Yeah, that's like Korean's a really big supporter of Kickstarter, and so he's kickstarted a few things. I know some of the stuff that he's kickstarted has come out, and he's been very happy with it. I think Ooblets was one of those,
Hmm.
and I think there was another one he played. I don't remember if My Time in Portia was one, but I think
I
My Time in
don't
Sandrock is
think so.
another one that was. Yeah, okay, so he says yeah, My
Yeah,
Time in
okay.
Portia. So that was another one he kickstarted that came out. But I know he's had a few duds too, where he said, he's kickstarted it and they just, that's just the risk you
Abandon.
take. It just doesn't work out sometimes. But yeah, I do kind
Shame.
of feel if it goes to early access, I feel that a lot of times the developers are kind of like, because in a way, it's almost like we've released a product that is maybe because usually it's
Glitchy.
it might be glitchy, but they're usually pretty close. I would say you're 80 to 90% finished at that point or whatever. And I think most of the
True.
time, uh, because especially I mean I don't know I haven't played too many of these early access games, but I think a lot of them typically aren't very story related. Like I know Baldur's Gate 3 is in early access, but that has a story, but it cuts you off at a certain point. And so obviously people want to finish that story. But most of the ones that I've heard of that release into early access aren't very story heavy. So if you don't, so you're not going 8 years without finishing a story. It's more about like PUBG or something like that, where
Okay.
you can pop in and out. I mean, that's my opinion. I might be wrong. Like I said,
Mm.
I don't play a lot of these early access games. Uh,
Well, My Time I Portia is very much a crafting game, but it
yeah.
really follows quite a lot of story, a bit like Stardew Valley. You need the story to put you into which craft to do next, and
Mm.
it was really cool. I can't wait for Sandrock, but this one has been delayed many times, I think, as well.
Oh, has it?
I don't
Yeah.
know, but I've been waiting for it forever.
Let's
I really want to
see.
play it. I really love Portia.
Okay, yeah, I haven't played either one, but they're not on the list, so I guess it wasn't meant to come out this year. So,
And shame, I think, I don't remember if it's Chinese or Japanese players, but they made the story change. There was a big drama of one of your waifu who's actually quite sick. And in the original story, after a few years, whatever you do, she dies
oh
because she's
really?
really, really sick. And because she's a very lovable character, the players were so annoying with the dev, they say, okay, you know what, we'll give you a quest to find the medicine and puff, she's fine. Okay, that's a way to, to cure terminal disease.
Now, what's your opinion on something like that? Because I know, for example, if you're playing kind of a more mature RPG, which I mean, Final Fantasy VII isn't super mature, but obviously we all know what happens to Eris or Aerith, if that's how you want to pronounce her name. But we all know what happens to her, and I think if you had undone that, I think it would have hurt the game because
Oh,
you want to
no, you don't
feel
do
that
that.
loss. That was the whole point, was that you want the player to experience that. Now, I think the My Time at Portia was probably a more lighthearted game that was probably not intended to be have that same impact on somebody. So, in your opinion, I mean, do you think it was better with allowing
It's
them to save her? Or
it's very different because FF Final Fantasy VII was very much like a movie, and everything had like a movie construction. And if you remove the bad event in the middle, then your movie crumbles and it just doesn't make any sense. Portia is very much different because if you decide not to actually go with this lady, I think Ginger her name was, If you marry other one, some other one, then you will never have this event. So it really doesn't matter that much. It's just
Okay, because it's more of a
yeah,
lighthearted kind of
yeah,
relaxing game,
exactly.
right? So yeah, if you
And
have
it's
that in there,
it's really,
I could see people being like, "I hate this. This isn't relaxing anymore."
I mean, it's not what I mean is like it's not a compulsory event. It really depends on your choice. Portia is very much of a choice-based game, which in FF7 is you have a line and you follow it and you enjoy.
Yeah,
So that's cannot have the same impact.
yeah.
It's really crafting game. So yeah, much more lighthearted, and you don't have all the drama you have in FF7. So
All right.
very different, very different.
Yeah.